Morning, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Apparently I need to turn on my headphones. I can't hear anything.
Peggy, say something again.
Can y'all hear me?
Yep, that's better.
Yes, that's
Okay.
better.
Good morning.
I can hear you.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our June Employee Forum meeting. This is always our busiest meeting of the year because we have our peer recognition award ceremony during this meeting. So I love this meeting. So we're going to go ahead and get started because of how busy our agenda is. I'm going to get started with a welcome to everybody. And then I'm going to start with some nominations from the floor for our officer positions. So during the meeting today, we're going to hold our annual officer election process. In the meeting agenda, you can find a list of individuals who are running for an officer position. Later in the meeting, each candidate will have the opportunity to make remarks about their candidacy. But if you would like to nominate someone who has not yet been nominated, or if you would like to self-nominate yourself, we ask that you unmute yourself and make your nomination now. Okay, any takers? Don't be shy if you want to nominate someone, feel free. Okay, so hearing no new nominations, the ballot will stand as written in the agenda. Later in the meeting, we have Laura Pratt and Matt Teal who are going to be facilitating the election process. More details are going to be shared later in the meeting. So for now, let's move forward with the rest of the agenda. And first up, we have our typical roundtable with the Chancellor or Provost. And this month, we are lucky to be joined by Provost Chris Clemens. Welcome to the meeting, Chris. Thanks for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Still trying to hit my mute button. I'm happy to be here. So is it my turn now?
It is your turn.
All right. Well, I'll just have a few general things because I know there's everyone appreciates having time for conversation and questions. I wanted to close out one item from last year that I know was a matter of concern to not just faculty, but all employees. And that has to do with our electronic records policy. You may recall that there were some questions about how that policy operates. There were some concerns about how keystroke data and other data might be used to surveil employees or rank employees. There were questions about generally what happens to matters that you may generate, have copyright to, and they get stored on university servers. And therefore accessible to public records requests. So I think the initial work on that is complete, and I'd like to close some of that out just to let you know. George Battle at Institutional Integrity and Risk Management, Charles Marshall at OUC, Mike Barker at ITS, and of course our fine faculty IT advisory committee, VTAC, did a lot of work on this. And what we've got is a new policy, which I'm putting in the chat. So this is the new electronic records policy. It doesn't actually change much. It's just a much more clearly stated policy that makes it more transparent about when we would access electronic records. Because it does not answer some of the questions that were raised, we also worked, especially Mike Barker and his team, on a document to go with it. And I'm going to put in the link this document, which is a kind of Q&A approach to answering some commonly asked questions. So you can see, if you look at it, it addresses issues of surveillance. The short answer is we do not use data on UNC accounts or servers for surveillance. We look at data retrospectively when there are legitimate requests. It talks about intellectual property protected by copyright. Basically, it does not infringe the copyright to have that on a server. It does make it accessible to some people, but it doesn't mean the ownership changes. So that is the intellectual property ownership. So you can look at that, and if you have questions, It is the second document. The policy is active, so it replaces the old policy. The second document is a work in progress. You may see things that could be improved or have questions. I invite you to send those to me or Mike Barker. But hopefully this will put at ease some folks who wonder about what's actually going on with programs that may capture keystrokes or do other things like that. And I think this provides some reassurance. So I just wanted to touch on that item and close it out. Again, the main work is done. We're happy to continue to put up answers to commonly asked questions if you have those. The second thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit is, well, two things. We're about to be in the news. We're going to be in the news in two different ways, one small and one national. The local is, of course, we're waiting on a budget from the state. And I know we had some early indications that there would be pay raises in that for state employees. I think they've gone back and forth on the size of these. I don't think they've gone away, but they may have gone down in size. We are monitoring that. And of course, the Chancellor and I are engaged advocating on behalf of UNC and our state employees for generous treatment in the final budget. That will come out maybe the end of June, maybe early July. They're still trying to get it done. It's disappearing into the resolution process between the House and Senate, and we will not have much good information after next week until it just appears at the end of the process. So I just wanted you to be aware, watch for that late June, early July. I think maybe more on folks' minds, and certainly on the minds of many institutions beyond these walls, is the Students for Fair Admission case, which we expect will be released at the Supreme Court probably the last week of June. Could be sooner, could be a little bit later. I want to walk you through what's going to happen there so you know what to expect from the campus. When the decision comes, the Chancellor will put out a note on that day, but it won't be a substantial note. And the reason is this is a complex legal question that we've worked on for nearly 10 years. And our lawyers are the ones who built the case defending us against a lawsuit. We don't think it will be immediately obvious what the decision is. It will require reading and some analysis by our legal team. And so on the day this comes, what you'll see is one communication from the Chancellor. The legal team will then look at it, and within a few days or a week, we'll have a more substantive response based on that legal analysis. So everyone will have to be patient in between those two things. There'll be a lot of chatter on the internet, but our official release is going to be thoughtful and responsive to the entire decision after it comes out. From an institutional perspective, we will have a very small group of people speaking on behalf of the institution. That is the Chancellor, me, the Provost, the Vice Provost for Enrollment, Rachel Feldman, and General Counsel will make any kind of official announcements or statements. I want everybody to understand that whatever the decision is, it's not changing any of our core commitments to diversity and inclusion. This will remain a top priority in the strategic plan. Part of our messaging will be to let everyone know that our commitment there remains strong. And I also want folks to know that though we will be managing the institutional response, we have faculty, staff, students who will have interesting things to say, especially some of our faculty experts. And we want everyone to do what universities do. We want people to read the decision, listen to our experts, process it, analyze it, explore the implications of it. We will encourage panel discussions. We're obviously going to have our experts in the media, speaking not for the institution, but from their points of view and their scholarship and what they can bring to that. And all the ways the academic enterprise can help the broader community digest and understand this impact is what we want to happen. So we're eager to have a whole university engage on this, but the official communications will come from the small group of people, and there'll be, as I said, initially a quick response and then a more thoughtful response when we've had time to look at it. The only other thing I can say about that is we believe we have followed the law. If the law changes, our new policy will be to follow that law as we understand it and are able to do it. That's really it for my updates. If you noticed, we announced a new dean for the Canaan Flagler Business School yesterday, Mary Margaret Frank, and so that was a major accomplishment to get that hire finished. We will be announcing, I think today, a new Chief Innovation Officer. I think you'll be pleased with what you see in that announcement. And that's bringing us to the precipice of something that'll be new for me, which is to have every senior position filled. We have one open search, the Vice Chancellor for Research after today, and we hope to wind that up in the next week or so. So for the first time in my now 16 months or 15 months of tenure, I won't be hiring senior leader. And then we can think about what this great team we've assembled is going to do.
Chris, I hope you didn't just jinx yourself. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, nobody retire or quit, right? But anyway, you almost never get there, but I feel like it has been a flurry of new deans and new vice chancellors and vice provosts. So that's what I have. Let me stop because I'm happy to take your questions, reflections, complaints, input, whatever, however you want to call it.
So thank you so much for all of those amazing updates, especially that data security kind of update and info. We'll be sure to dig our teeth into that working document and see if we have any questions or thoughts on it.
I think, again, I think it'll be helpful. It's not, we're happy to make it better if there are questions you still have.
So I guess I'll start with a question and then we'll open it up to the group. On the Supreme Court case, if the decision does not go the way we hope, are there contingency plans in place to build out some of the admissions staffing that's going to take to kind of do the work to kind of completely upend our process? Because our admissions staff is amazing as is, but they're already overworked and overtaxed. So anything we could do to put the kind of resources behind them to address this if this does not go the way we hope it does.
Yeah, Katie, I think it will depend a little on the decision. There's a couple pieces to our response there. Thank you for bringing it up because I should have mentioned it. For the undergraduate admissions program, because that happens in one central place, we think it will be fairly easy and transparent to adapt to whatever comes out of the decision, whether it ratifies what we're doing or makes changes to it. The changes, frankly, are not that large. We use, as you know, a holistic admissions process that considers multiple factors. And so we would just have to look at what factors are now going into that. And so I think that part is fairly straightforward because it's central. For the graduate and professional programs, as you may know, admission is done at often the department level through a set of processes that we learned a few months ago are not sometimes all that well documented. So we've been with the graduate dean, Beth Meyer Davis, in a process of making sure, one, that we understand what we're doing now, and sometimes it's as much custom as policy, and two, that we have a plan in place if there are revisions needed there. And so what's happening there will be a one-stop team set up and designated to help the graduate and professional programs. And that will be central with points of contact announced. And what will happen there is, with University Council's help, the graduate dean and our leadership team will help guide those school and department-based admissions processes in the revision of what they do to comply with the law, which may be complex, right? There's sort of three possibilities here. We could just win outright and everything stays the same. There could be an in-between where somehow we have to juggle how we use the multi-factors that we use in admissions, or some could be removed altogether. So we don't want to speculate on what's going to happen until we see it, but our response will be to have a team to help folks get compliant with whatever changes may happen, if any. So thanks for asking about that.
Other questions for Provost Clemens? We're closing out another great academic year. Leading into
Just let me do that. This is the last one of the fiscal year, I guess, meeting for you. And as I go to many of these sort of last fiscal year meetings, I want to remember to thank everybody. I think UNC has had a very good year in many ways. Like all places, we have challenges. I believe we are working on those together in ways that I hope are effective, transparent, and inclusive. And all of you are a great part of that. And thank you for all that you do. I know you love this institution because I see how hard you work every day. And I want you to know that I really appreciate that work.
Great. Matt.
Yeah, good morning, Chris. Thank you for being here. So last week, I received a formal notice announcing you had created a new generative AI committee that will, quote, support our campus in productively engaging generative artificial intelligence technologies like ChatGPT. The formal notice also said, quote, generative AI comes with both promise and peril for universities, requiring us all to learn about these new capabilities, adapt, and anticipate how our work may change over time. I think this committee is a great idea. However, when I look at the committee membership and the committee charter on the Office of the Provost website, I note that the committee members are almost entirely faculty members, and the scope of the committee's work is specifically limited to helping faculty and students with the ethical use of AI in things like research and teaching. As the formal notice noted, this group is an initial step in soliciting campus input, sponsoring community reflection, and creating tangible and user-friendly resources for students, instructors, and administrators. So my question is, do you plan to expand the scope of this committee, or maybe set up a parallel committee to look at administrative or back office functions here at the university, such as HR, finance, ITS, development, et cetera? I would argue AI will impact those roles and responsibilities too. And to quote the formal notice again, require us all, not just faculty, to learn about these new capabilities, adapt, and anticipate how our work may change over time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Matthew. That's a great question. We are very much at the beginning of knowing how to react to generative AI. This committee came about as at the request of the deans, because they were hearing from faculty that they're a little bit adrift and other places are making policies. So we made the decision fairly quickly not to address policymaking because I don't think we're ready to write policy around something that's fluid. So I asked them to bring me names of folks who we could put on a committee. And it started with a fairly narrow charge. I wanted some guidance for faculty as they write their syllabi. What are the tools that they can use to let the students know what the ground rules are? And we're not stipulating those ground rules. We're thinking about them, making some models that faculty can adopt or adapt for their own use. But I think the central driver here is we needed to get this done quickly enough when faculty return and are ready to start class, that they articulate a classroom policy. And so that was the main thing driving this work. There was a host of other questions that got added to the potential charge longer term, and they have lifted one or two of those into the work that'll go on this summer. This is not the first committee on AI. The Center for Faculty Excellence had already done a bit of work, and when we learned of that, we pulled representatives from that prior committee into this one, and it won't be the last committee. And so I tend to do these things in a responsive fashion. So what I'm hearing from you is that you think there is a cause to have either an extension of this, and I would argue maybe another committee that looks at the workplace use of AI more generally and begins to help with guidelines, so folks who might want to use it to speed up their work understand what the bounds are on that. Is that a fair characterization of your comment?
Yes, yes, it is. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that it would not be only the provost calling and charging a committee like that. And so I want to have a conversation with Becci Menghini because it's a broader HR matter. In other words, we're not trying to quickly respond to something that requires students to have good guidance. It's broader, and it's the whole institution. And so I think it passes beyond the realm of the chief academic officer into HR and broader expanse. So I will take on that conversation with Becci and her team, and then we'll think about how we would go about doing something. I will tell you, we are using it in this office. We're not letting it escape in the sense that we're making first drafts or structures that speed up some of the things we do. And so I know my own folks are going to wish for guidance at some point on when and how text generated by a machine can actually be promulgated out of an office. So these are things we need to know, the legals, the ethics, and everything else.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. IBM has announced they're freezing hiring on HR officers, looking at what can be done by AI. The state of Connecticut just passed a law signed by their governor, looking at a holistic review of how AI is being used in their state government generally. So I do think the wheels are beginning to turn on this broadly, and I just love to see us keeping pace with the pace of innovation.
Yeah, thank you for that. I agree with you, and we will figure out how to do something in addition to the committee that's already there, whether it's a subcommittee or a new committee, and we'll figure that out.
Great, thank you.
I'd just like to piggyback a little bit on Matt's comment on this. That formal notice that he received, all staff did not receive that. I would assume Matt got it in his role over ethics and policy. To me, that's another level of the communication issues we sometimes have where staff don't get some of these formal notices. I feel like this would be helpful information for staff across campus, maybe not all staff, but excluding staff from these types of communications is not helpful or beneficial.
Yeah, thanks, Katie. Let me address that because we have to make a decision when we put out communications. It has been my style to have very few campus broadcast communications, because what happens if you do a lot is people don't read them. So this particular communication I judged should initially go to the DDD list. I don't know if you know these lists, but it was basically just deans and directors. So it wasn't excluding the staff only, even faculty. Many did not get this message. The idea was to let leaders know that we're trying to do this, and then when at the end of the summer come back with a full campus message on the output. So I apologize if that was a slight to anyone. It's just a judgment call on whether folks are going to read all the emails if I start making campus broadcast emails for everything. Certainly, if we do a much broader committee, we would want everyone to know about that because it impacts everyone.
Yeah, as you can see by the interest in this group, I think that there's definitely a notion that we would want to know more than less. And okay. I think that this definitely impacts faculty and staff, and it would have been nice for faculty who are concerned about these things and staff who are concerned about these things to know that this work is starting to take place. Okay.
Point taken. I'll be a little more generous.
But I appreciate your efforts to keep our inboxes.
Well, it's just, it's just a judgment call. And, yeah. And I'll be frank that in my life before big administrative roles, my brain learned to not look at things that say no reply and are from the campus. It was just like, okay, I don't have to read that. I've got too many things to read. And so I actually have to, sometimes people have to come in and point at messages and say, did you read that message? And I'm like, what message? Oh yeah, I see there's a message. Because you do start to filter them if you get a lot of messages from the central emailer.
Awesome. Any other questions for Provost Clemens? No. Well, thanks as always, Chris, for being with us. I hope you have some summer vacation plans to take a nice, well-deserved break before the start of next year.
Thank you. I think I'll manage to find a little bit of time to do that. And thank you all again for all that you do.
Excellent. Thanks so much.
Bye.
All right, moving on to the next portion of our agenda, which is my favorite part of all year. We have our peer recognition award ceremony. Yay! So welcome to all of our awardees and our guests who are here to celebrate with us. I'm going to turn things over to Tiffany Carver and Jesse Hill, who are the co-chairs of our Recognition and Awards Committee, who are going to lead this portion of the agenda. So Tiffany and Jesse, take it away.
Thank you, Katie. Good morning, everybody. Matt's going to pull up our presentation for us. Awesome. Okay, so awesome. Thank you guys all for joining us today. As Katie stated, this is an exciting and fun time for us, a very special occasion. We want to thank everyone who participated in the 2023 UNC Employee Forum Peer Recognition Awards process. We recognize people have so much going on. Folks are carrying heavier loads and are tasked with so many more responsibilities. So for you to actually make time to acknowledge and celebrate your peers speaks volumes about the kind of colleagues that you are. From those of you who took time out to nominate peers, to the employee forum delegates who so graciously dedicated time to review 181 nominations that we received. You all are so greatly appreciated. Just a note, we did remove the cap on how many words could be used in these nominations, and you guys took full advantage of that this year. We had over 230 some odd pages worth to read. So thank you so much for that. You guys had so many great things to say. You guys are all top tier, and it shows. UNC staff are just awesome. So give yourselves and each other a round of applause. And without further ado, I'll have Jessie start with presenting the awards.
Good morning, everyone. So excited to see you all. The first award that will be presented this morning is the Staff Member of the Year Hall of Famer. The Hall of Famer award goes to individuals who consistently exemplify the university's mission of integrity, collaboration, respect, and a high level of customer service, and has been with the university for at least 5 years. Our first recipient of the Hall of Famer award is Summer Montgomery. Summer works as an undergraduate student services coordinator for the Department of Biology. She handles course-related issues, including registration for over 2,000 biology students. She assists 70 faculty members with undergraduate manners. Most days, you can find her working on 5 different semesters. She was nominated by Lillian, Wendy, Bob, Anne, Amy, Elena, Morgan, and an anonymous peer. Some of her nominations included comments such as, beyond her regular responsibilities, I believe that the factor that makes Summer stand out among many excellent people at Carolina is her proactive approach and her leadership. She is always looking for ways to make things better, even if this means much more work for herself. Another nominator said she brings a great attitude and a high level of competence to her work, invariably taking care of outstanding issues and solving problems in creative and expedient ways. Her commitment to our students and our educational mission is incredible and unwavering. Congrats, Summer. Our second recipient of the Hall of Famer award is Kim Spur. Kim is the Associate Director of Communications in the College of Arts and Sciences Dean's Office. For the past 25 years, Kim has told the stories of Carolina's people and programs, first at Keenan Flager Business School, and since 2005 for the College of Arts and Sciences. She oversees content for UNC's largest academic unit, managing the website of college and serving as editor of Carolina Arts and Sciences, the college's online and print alumni magazine. She just produced her 36th issue of that publication. She is also a proud UNC journalism alumna. Another nominator said Kim Spur is the perfect example of the ideal Hall of Famer recipient. Her dedication to this university since her time as an undergraduate student through her tenure on staff over the past 25 years shines in all that she does. Her leadership of the College of Arts and Sciences magazine is a fantastic feat in collaboration and love for the people and programs of UNC. She is a wonderful colleague and always has a smile and is ready to help with any questions or projects I come to her with. I am honored to call her a colleague and lucky to know her. Congrats, Kim. And our next award is the Staff Member of the Year Perfect Addition Award. The Perfect Addition Award recipients consistently exemplify the university's mission of integrity, collaboration, respect, and high level of customer service, and has been with the university for less than 2 years. Our first recipient of the Perfect Addition Award is Becca Gillison. Becca is the Assistant Director for Student Staff Recruitment and Selection for Carolina Housing. Her responsibilities include recruitment, selection, onboarding, and management of all student employees within Carolina Housing, upwards of 300 employees. Becca was nominated by Sarah, and here are some thoughts she shared. What sets Becca apart is her commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. She consistently innovates processes to be mindful of best practices in these areas, and her efforts have resulted in a more inclusive and welcoming environment for all students and staff. Becca takes the time to educate and empower her colleagues, students, and staff on issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion, ensuring that everyone feels valued and heard. Becca holds true to a core set of values that align with the mission of Carolina Housing and UNC-Chapel Hill. Her commitment to upholding these values is evident in the decisions that she makes and the way she conducts herself on a daily basis. By consistently adhering to these values, Becca contributes to preserving the integrity of our department and institution. Congrats, Becca. The second recipient of the Perfect Addition Award is Julianne Hall, who is unable to attend today. Julianne is a pedagogy coordinator in the Department of Chemistry, where she provides leadership and direction to faculty teams in the large format, multi-section chemistry courses to ensure they run smoothly, and manages their graduate teaching assistants and the undergraduate learning assistants for each course. Julianne was nominated by Danielle, Anna, and a colleague who chose to remain anonymous. Here are a couple of their sentiments. Julianne Hall has been the perfect addition to the chemistry teaching team. She integrated into our team seamlessly, and within a year of her starting last August, I can't imagine what we would do without her. Her expert in chemistry and in knowing what our students need are invaluable to our teaching and supporting the chemistry department teaching mission. Julianne has been instrumental in the success of our standardized large enrollment courses. Throughout the past year, she has consistently gone above and beyond to support our educational mission. Not only does she complete her work effectively, but she also precipitates our needs. Congrats, Julianne.
The next award that will be presented today is the Professional Excellence Award. This award recognizes 4 deserving staff members for exceptional execution above and beyond assigned duties, supportive interactions within their department, supportive interactions between campus departments, and/or exemplary interaction with the outside community. And this year, we're actually presenting 5 of these awards. It is with a heavy heart that we award our very first recipient of the Professional Excellence Award posthumously to Von Booker, who very recently passed away. We are so grateful to his family, friends, and colleagues that are in attendance today, and extend our deepest sympathy and condolences to you all. We are honored to be able to acknowledge not only what a wonderful person Von was, and a colleague, but how deserving he is of this award. Von worked as a Tier 3 classroom consultant at ITS Education Technologies and was an expert in classroom technology. He supported faculty, students, and staff. He was nominated by Gina, Laura, Kelly, Simon, Karabeth, Susan, and Linda. And these are some highlights of what they shared. Von worked for ITS for 17 years as a full-time employee and worked for ITS as a student while he earned his undergraduate degree. Even as a student employee, he strived to learn all he could about classroom technology that was used at the time. Upon graduating and taking a position with Classroom Hotline as a full-time employee, he quickly and eagerly learned all he could about the programming language used to control the classroom control systems. He developed the first use of in-house computer and how to effectively manage it and give the instructors every option they needed to successfully teach. And in later years, he learned how to design the classroom spaces from top to bottom, incorporating all the technology needs, as well as active learning initiatives that have become popular over the past 5 years. He became the campus go-to support person for all things Zoom. Years before the word COVID became part of our vocabulary, he came to me and said, "Hey boss, I saw this great product called Zoom, and I want to show you how it works." He then developed our first Zoom rooms, and the rest was history. Von has been an invaluable source of guidance and support for students with disabilities who have assistive technology needs in class. His support to both students and faculty colleagues in navigating the often complex and daunting challenges posed by assistive technologies has been instrumental in enabling UNC to meet its legal and moral obligations and its ambitions in providing for students with disabilities needing the use of assistive technology in the teaching and learning environment. Again, congratulations to Vaughn, and again, we thank you all so much for being here to recognize him for this award. Our next recipient of the Professional Excellence Award is Judy Owen. Judy works as a social research assistant at the Frankfurter Graham Child Development Institute, where she performs many duties, including participant recruitment, record keeping, data collection, data management, reporting, and passing along the knowledge that she's gained over her 17 years at FPG. Judy was nominated by Jada Walker, and this is part of her remarks about Judy. Over the years, Judy has fostered the camaraderie of her research team and a culture of learning, sharing, teaching, and researching to contribute to the betterment of early childhood education in the U.S. She has been especially dedicated to equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts throughout the Institute and university. Over the years, Judy has fostered she has been especially dedicated to the equity, diversity, and inclusion efforts throughout the Institute and university. I'm sorry, y'all, this is on here twice. I'm not sure why. Thank you so much, Judy, and congratulations again for this award. Our next recipient of the Professional Excellence Award is Chris Pendergrass. Chris is the Artistic Planning Manager for Carolina Performing Arts. He works throughout the year in various stages of the research, planning, and booking processes for Carolina Performing Arts Series performances, and is also the point of contact for artists and their representatives. Chris was nominated by Amy Russell and Morgan Harpin. Here are some of what they shared in their nominations. Chris went far above and beyond his usual duties in order to take on the role of producer for our presentation of the opera Omar. We are not a professional opera company, but we were dedicated as an organization to bring this important opera to life on UNC's campus, and therefore many solutions had to be found and many roles had to be filled, which are not already present on our team. Chris grew as an arts administrator and leader by leaps and bounds throughout this experience and was an engine for our communal morale and our institutional partnerships at the same time. We could not have succeeded without his incredible dedication and spirit. Chris maintained calm and composure throughout very trying circumstances, often bearing the brunt of frustrations expressed by external partners who were unaware of the internal constraints we were facing. Chris served as the introduction to CPA and UNC for many members of the creative team and cast, and represented our organization and the university well throughout it all. Congratulations again, Chris, on this award. Our next recipient of the Professional Excellence Award is Michelle Song. Michelle is the Associate Director of Data Science and Analytics at the Center for Health Equity Research in the Department of Social Medicine. Michelle works to lead and expand data services from basic data processing and management to advanced analytics and statistical expertise to support a growing portfolio of projects within UNC and beyond. Michelle was nominated by Marlena Kuhn, and here is part of what she had to say. Michelle exceeds professional expectations and truly embodies the Professional Excellence Award. Many of my colleagues share this sentiment, and she has garnered a formidable reputation at Abacus Evaluation within the Center for Health Equity Research as the lead of the data analytics team. She has a clear vision for our team and works relentlessly to achieve this vision. She has been a leader in establishing the data team within the past 2 years since Abacus was formed and has brought the team together both personally and professionally, which is an especially impressive feat in a work environment that is exclusively virtual. Michelle seeks meaningful change and values learning. She manages conflict brilliantly. She values mentorship and cares deeply for people. And she also recognizes and utilizes people's strengths to create a team in which people feel that their work is valued. Congratulations again, Michelle. Our final recipient of the Professional Excellence Award is Sloan Thompson. Sloan serves as a violence prevention coordinator with the Violence Prevention and Advocacy Services, a department within Student Affairs that provides free confidential advocacy services for UNC students, faculty, and staff members who experience sexual or gender-based violence and works to prevent violence in the UNC community. Sloan facilitates trainings and workshops, develops outreach campaigns to educate students, collaborates with the Chapel Hill community to create safer spaces in and around UNC's campus. And she also helps oversee a robust team of students student staff volunteers, including peer educators, outreach ambassadors, and a student advisory group. Sloan was nominated by Mary, Dean, and David. And here's some of what they shared. Sloan Thompson, an alum who has returned to Carolina to work in our Violence Prevention Response Office, exemplifies the many characteristics noted in the professional excellence category. Her constant can-do attitude, willingness to be a team player, creativity, relationship, and bridge building style all contribute to making Carolina better than she found it. Sloan represents what we can accomplish together, holding to our bold transformational values by looking for spaces and ways to implement new and innovative programs, demonstrating excellence and trust in building solid and mission-driven relationships with our community partners, and showing the overall benefit of prevention work is only as good as our combined efforts. And her commitment to service and improvements with a curious mind, Sloan is always seeking to find ways we can cross communication hurdles and join in a common cause to promote well-being and prevent violence. Again, congratulations to you, Sloan.
Our next award that will be presented today is the Overton Leadership Award. This award honors the memory of Jackie Overton, a beloved forum chair whose contributions made the forum a permanent group on campus. The purpose of the award is to recognize and reward individuals who have provided outstanding leadership to their office, department, or unit, and the university as a whole through involvement in staff issues, committee work, teamwork, professional development of peers. Nominees should be individuals who demonstrate outstanding leadership qualities, inspire and involve others, and work to assure that the impact of their efforts in the community campus is lasting. The nominee does not have to be a supervisor to be awarded. Our first recipient of the Overton Leadership Award is Jamila Lunsford. Jamila is a cage processing specialist in the Division of Comparative Medicine. Cage processing specialists are responsible for ensuring safety for all personnel and the health and safety of the animals under the Department of Comparative Medicine. The CPS oversees the provision of special diets, bedding and equipment, record keeping and documentation associated with federal regulatory requirements, the decontamination and disposal of biohazardous waste, staff training, and facility repair reporting. Jamila was nominated by Taylor, Morgan, DeVetti, Vanessa, Juliet, Diamont, Angela Westbrook. Here are some of the things they shared about Jamila. Working over 10 plus years in the Department of Comparative Medicine, her leadership does not go unnoticed. Being able to adapt to change quickly when an employee is out, she rose to the occasion to be a team leader who has great effective communication skills when getting the job done. Jamila arrives to work daily with a smile and positive attitude to motivate all employees who work in the lower basement of the genetic medicine building. Speaking positive affirmations and inspiring others to push through the week has made a great impact on the lives of individuals she is around on a daily basis, including myself. Jamila pitches in all areas and has a breadth of knowledge to do so with ease. She is determined to keep the facility running efficiently and understands the bigger picture of its operations. There is a sense of comfort and appreciation that someone can help run certain areas of facility operations when you must be absent. Jamila is this person for me. She strives to do her best every day. For all these reasons and more, I nominate her for the Overton Leadership Award. Congrats, Jamila. Our second recipient of the Overton Leadership Award is Kathy Coop Roberts Cooper. Kathy is the Associate Director for Carolina Housing Residential Learning. In this position, she is responsible for establishing a strategic vision for all academic, educational, and leadership development initiatives within the residential communities of Carolina Housing. She develops learning outcomes and evaluation processes for all full-time and student staff training and professional development offered through residential education, oversees areas related to residential learning, and helps lead a team of 22 professional staff and 250 plus student staff. Kathy was nominated by Ashley Gray, and we'll share some of what she shared with us. Coop, with her humble, steady, and quiet leadership style, listened to staff questions, worries, and needs. She prioritized the health of staff while creating and explaining protocols that helped our staff still serve residential students. She had an inspirational way of listening to the real challenges that several staff faced while also inspiring staff to rise to the unique challenge of the time and support students. In addition to providing steady leadership to the residential education team, you could always count on Coop to lend a hand in other areas of our COVID response. One of the things that really stands out to me is how Coop makes space for others to lead. Coop is both a member of the Carolina Housing Leadership Team and the Residential Education Leadership Team. Instead of leading from the top, Coop is constantly looking at ways to inspire and provide opportunities for her direct reports and others to lead in new ways. She invests immensely in the professional development of staff. She's a wonderful colleague and a phenomenal leader, and well deserving of the Overton Leadership Award. Congrats, Coop.
The next award that we will present today is the Pinnacle Award. This is a prestigious award that recognizes an individual who has demonstrated leadership, vision, and commitment to excellence. Nominees should be individuals who are on a path of continuous learning through professional development. Nominees should also have proposed a new idea and moved the idea toward implementation and is constantly creating a supportive and inclusive environment. Our first recipient of the Pinnacle Award is Jane McDaniel. Jane is the Assistant Director of Curricular Affairs for Foundation Phase at the Offices of Medical Student Education, where she has many duties, including providing consultation on operational and logistical aspects of the curriculum redesign, interfacing with administration, faculty, and the School of Medicine IT team, and proudly leads and supports a group of amazing, innovative course coordinators. Jane was nominated by a colleague who had this to say: Jane is deeply committed to excellence in her role, consistently going above and beyond to make sure both the faculty and student experience in the preclinical medical school curriculum is as smooth as possible. She gives great thought to onboarding and supporting her team. She has led through a period of great transition in the curricular affairs staff and does so with skill and thoughtfulness. Jane is deeply committed to her own professional growth. She takes time to learn new skills and apply them in her team's context. She has developed a number of innovations that are now in use across the curricular affairs team. Jane is a consummate professional. She's always thoughtful and detailed in her approach to problems and opportunities on her team. She treats students and faculty alike with great respect and compassion. Congratulations to you again, Jane. Our second recipient of the Pinnacle Award is Adam Shuri. Adam serves as the Assistant Director of Finance for the Department of Health Sciences, where he leads the Health Sciences Finance and Business Office, works closely with the department's Associate Chair for Administration and Division Directors to analyze spending patterns and various financial needs, and a whole host of other financial related duties. Adam was nominated by Valerie Tan, who shared that Adam has demonstrated vision, leadership, commitment to excellence in his role. He has led concurrent trainings for faculty and staff. He has helped to organize over 80 scholarships that support students across our 14 academic programs. Adam's always looking to expand his role and learn new things, including professional development in budget and finance, to better support our finance and business office. He recently completed a master's degree in business and has utilized his skill set to assist with department finance and grant reporting. Adam does it all. He exemplifies team play. His willingness to lend a hand at any time is greatly appreciated by all. Congratulations again to you, Adam.
And last, but definitely not least, the final award that will be presented today is the Three-Legged Stool, also known as the Community Service Award. Awarded to distinguished contributions by an individual who works to promote cooperation and collaboration among faculty, staff, and students. Nominees should be individuals who inspire creativity, promote harmony and partnerships within the university community, inspire teamwork, cooperation, and participation, demonstrate new approaches to current processes, encourage, mentor, and build bridges, form alliances to work collectively, or demonstrate any other significant community building activities. The winner of this year's Three-Legged Stool Award is Patrick Prudhomme. Patrick is the Assistant Director of Student Learning Initiatives in Carolina Housing. Patrick oversees the residential learning programs in the residence halls. He is also in charge of the Resident Scholar Program. He supervises 4 full-time community directors in their respective communities. Lastly, he oversees the partnership between Carolina Housing and Beam, which resulted in the establishment of a makerspace within the residence halls. Patrick was nominated by Sarah and a colleague who elected to remain anonymous. They shared, Patrick is a shining star of Carolina housing. I'm thrilled every time a project requires me to work with Patrick because he's a constant source of positive, collaborative, and passionate energy. His work on the staff engagement committee is outstanding, and he is an excellent game show host when presenting team building games in department meetings. His work with student staff recognition and awards, as well as his work with RLPs and resident scholars in particular, show how great he is at bringing students, staff, and faculty together and making them feel valued. RLPs, by definition, are built upon the exchange of ideas between faculty, staff, and students to enrich the student's educational experience. And Patrick breathes life into all of it. If Carolina Housing's mission of student engagement, enjoyment, learning, and belonging were personified, it would be Patrick. Patrick is not only dedicated to the folks at UNC, but also to the larger student affairs community. He is involved in regional and national organizations designed to promote excellence among housing and student affairs staff. Patrick's commitment to promoting cooperation and collaboration among faculty, staff, and students is truly exceptional. His leadership, dedication, and passion for student success make him a deserving candidate for this award. Congratulations, Patrick.
All of our staff awardees receive recognition on the UNC Employee Forum website and will be featured in our monthly newsletter and awarded $100 on a paycheck in June. You will also receive a certificate acknowledging your award via campus mail. Please reach out to Matt Banks if you need to make alternative arrangements to get your certificate. And additionally, our three-legged stool awardee will be given a miniature wooden stool commemorating the award. This will be available for pickup later this summer. We apologize for the delay, Patrick, but we will get it to you. And let's all give all of our awardees another well-deserved round of applause. On behalf of the entire employee forum, Jesse and I again extend our gratitude to the other forum delegates who reviewed nominations. Randall, Sharon, Shayla, Keith, love you, Keith, Rebecca, Arlene, Katie, Julie, and Matt Banks. Thank you for your support. This is a labor of love, and we truly appreciate the time and effort that you all put into helping us acknowledge our peers and the wonderful sentiments that were shared by their colleagues. Thank you again to all of those who participated in the Peer Recognition Awards process and all of you who attended our ceremony today. This will conclude the award ceremony portion for peer recognition, but we have one more group of dedicated folks that we'd like to acknowledge. So we'll turn the final slide over to Katie, our chair. Have a great day, everybody, and go Heels.
Thanks so much, Tiffany and Jesse. So to continue the theme of peer recognition, we wanted to take a few moments to recognize the delegates who will sadly be rolling off of this year and thank them for their dedicated service on the employee forum. So for everyone ending their term this year, you'll see a list of names of the folks rolling off. Whether you're rolling off or not, you'll receive a certificate preview via campus mail signed by the Chancellor and myself, recognizing you for your term of service. If you'd like to make alternative arrangements to receive your certificate, just reach out to Matt Banks. So if you could all please join me in a round of applause for our amazing outgoing delegates. Thank you all so much for your service. Excellent. Matt, you can stop sharing your screen now. Before we move on, beyond awards, finally, I'm honored to present our K. Wimberg-Hovius Outstanding Delegate Award recipients for 2023. So the K. Wimberg-Hovius Outstanding Employee Forum Delegate Award recognizes the work of outstanding employee forum delegates who go above and beyond the call of duty when performing work on behalf of the forum. K. Wimberg-Hovius was the first employee forum chair who was instrumental, along with Chancellor Paul Hardin, in establishing an official organization for staff employees at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill in March 1992. Each year, 3 current delegates are selected for this award. Without further ado, this year's recipients are, drumroll please, Elizabeth DeBose is our first recipient. Round of applause for Elizabeth. Thank you so much.
You told me they say things.
Awesome, awesome. We're going to continue until the end here, and then we'll pause for folks if you want to make statements. Our second award winner for this year, round of drum roll, please. Adriani Gibelusco. Congratulations, Adriani. Woo-hoo. And last but not least, our third K. Wimberg-Hovius award winner this year is Leah Hefner. Congratulations, Leah. Woo! Congratulations to all three of you. If any of you want to unmute yourself and make any statements, I welcome you to. Thanks to all three of you for your amazing service on the Employee Forum. You guys are rock stars. The Employee Forum would not be here and doing its amazing work without folks like you. So thank you. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to say anything.
Adriani, I specifically expect to see this plaque sitting beside one of the gold records that we look at when you turn on your camera. Like,
well, congratulations to all three of you. An illustrious group of amazing folks for sure. So excellent. Well, not to, follow this up with anything not important. Becci, we are at our HR updates. It's hard to follow some, great news like peer recognition, but we welcome you to join us today. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. I got to be honest, I'm getting a little bit of a complex. Every month there's some superstar in front of me. Then it's like, not to be outdone, here's Becci. Seriously though.
So sorry, Becci.
It's all good. Seriously, it is my delight and joy to follow this session this morning. What a group. Congratulations to all of the winners. You've done remarkable work. Thank you. I have a relatively short list. I know I say that every month, but I think that is true. The provost stole a little bit of my thunder. Actually, let me just go back. I did say congratulations to the award winners. I also want to join the provost in saying congratulations. We made it through another year. Happy summer, happy Pride, happy, hopefully some vacation scheduled for some of you. Certainly, at the very least, if you can't get vacation scheduled, I hope some of you are managing to step outside and enjoy your lunches out in the beautiful sunlight, because it's certainly a great time to be outside in Carolina. And allergy season seems to be dropping just a hair for those of you like me who suffer. The provost introduced a little bit about the state budget. And in fact, he was right. They are now conferencing. I did get an update from our state relations folks, and what I am hearing is right now both the Senate and the House are feeling pretty good about state employee adjustments. The understanding right now is the House budget, I think, was at 4.25, and the Senate budget was lower than that. Right now they seem to be, again, seem to be somewhere in the middle. Which I think is better than the Senate budget, not quite as good as the governor's budget, but certainly better than the low end. So fingers crossed that continues. As of yesterday, the sticking point really about getting this budget tied up really related to tax cuts. The good news for us is that we are not the sticking point. We are glad to not be the sticking point. We'd rather have it be on other issues. So what I'm understanding is that the Senate intends to take a vote at the last week of June, and the House is going to be out for the 4th of July holiday and is looking at a mid-July vote. We had hoped to have everything done before the end of June. We always hope, very rarely see it. It does not look right now, Keith, you're laughing, but right now it does not look, knock on wood, like we're looking at a November or December, but rather just a later July to the governor's office. So fingers crossed. Then the Board of Governors at last month's meeting did go ahead and give the system office the authority to draft the ARP guidelines once the budget is passed, so we don't have to wait for a subsequent Board of Governors meeting. The system office knows that every one of us is as eager as you all are to get those done and out. So as soon as they get the state budget, they will go through and write the guidance. They will then distribute it to us. We will go forward. Unless things change and the language is different, everything will be retroactive to July 1, regardless of when it's paid out. And beyond that, we don't know anything more. So that's where we are on the state budget. We are optimistic. Kevin, some of you have heard Kevin speak in the last several days. There have been, the Senate budget had removed some of the direct allocations to UNC-Chapel Hill. We are optimistic that with a bunch of advocacy by a whole bunch of folks, including, as Chris said, the Chancellor and the Provost going to Raleigh quite a bit the last several weeks, that we are going to see some of that reinstated. Again, optimistic, but until it's written, we can't really know. So, yep, Chris, Keith is right. We're tempering our hopes, but fingers crossed. Many of you have asked about the progress on the range updates. I have outlined previously that SHRA ranges have been, the system office has been granted authority to work with an outside consultant to upgrade those ranges, having argued that they could do so far more quickly than OSHR. That is in fact true. They had initially told us that working with, I sit on that committee, they told us to expect some tentative updates about which things needed to be sent out for review in June. We got them in May. So we were able to go through a list and identify where the ranges compared to the existing state ranges, because what they wanted to do, and that was the requirement under the OSHR system office agreement, was look at what are the current SHRA ranges for the university and what are the current ranges for those same jobs at OSHR. As you know, OSHR has seen adjustments every year in their ranges, and we have not. So in some cases, a transition into those new ranges just at the state level would make sense. In some cases, we're already well over those state ranges, and in other places, we're under them. So they looked at all of those across the institutions, gave them back to us and said, do these line up with you? And we said, well, we have some concerns about this, or we have some concerns about this range. And we've gone back. We did outline 76 specific ranges that we had some concerns about and followed up with them on. And they are now out to market on all of the ranges that the system office has assembled with Buck that they need to go further on. The next project will be, Buck is out to market on those, which we're feeling good about since we're already almost 3 weeks ahead. They're going to now do their market work. We are now going to get started on the EHRA ranges and continue where we left off, because we had started those prior to the SHRA. And then once we finish EHRA, then we'll do tier 2 and tier 1. There's also a separate project that has not, as far as I know, not gotten fully underway on faculty ranges, but those are a whole different sort of task. And they differ for places like Chapel Hill than they do for other places. So it's a little bit more complicated than I don't want to say more complicated. It's a much more convoluted process. It's not more complicated. It's more convoluted process than the ranges for staff positions. So I am feeling probably, I know this is being recorded and I need to be conscious of where it's being sent, but this is probably the most confident I've felt in a process that we have undergone with the system office that really applies to all of our campuses. I think we like to think we're special, and in many ways we are, but sometimes that means we feel like the process that we're undertaking doesn't apply equally to us. I really do feel like the system office has done a remarkable job of working with us and working with our peer institutions to identify what's different about us and what's different about the other campuses. And I'm really impressed with their ability to keep it on time. And that is true given knowing even that they've had some significant turnover in some of their staffing as well. So I know it's not often I come here and get that excited, but I am really hopeful. I also want to temper expectations, since temper seems to be the word of the day. Just because we changed the ranges, I think I've said this before, but I feel it's my obligation to say it again, does not mean everybody's going to get a raise. As much as I would like to ensure that we give everybody 100% of market, that's not the way ranges are set up to work. They are set up to be ranges, and then we have to identify as a campus where we want to be and what each of those spaces, and aim for that. And there is intended, as we talk about career development, intended to be an arc. They should be bell curves and not triangular lines in the way we've been historically, as ranges, rightfully so, as ranges hadn't changed. But we need to sort of right size where we've been. So we'll do our best to ensure that we're taking care of those most impacted first, sort of the way we did with Elmar. I want to just remind everybody, we put another $3 million in staff salaries in the last several months. Then certainly knowing that we will have 2 years of, fingers crossed, salary adjustments moving forward, we hope we're getting to a place where people can count on some level of adjustment and we're not quite as far behind as we once were. We've made a lot of effort. You also have likely seen the impact of sign-on bonuses, retention bonuses, and for EHRA employees, we are moving forward with performance-based bonuses moving forward. Of course, having those tools is important, but tools without money are just tools. And so we're trying to now both work on how do we balance both the having the tool and having the dollars to fill it out. And that has been a priority of both Kevin and the provost. And I feel really confident that some of the work that we've done with the Elmar and trying to figure out how we do some more market adjustments across units where they're really suffering, that we have made some good progress and that they are committed to that. So fingers crossed, we'll continue to work on that moving forward. Many of you have also asked where we stand on the SHRA to EHRA conversion for the non-exempt folks. By all accounts, that's got bipartisan support. I think we're going to see that happen. By our counts, it looks like that impacts about 1,000 employees. This would be an optional move from SHRA to EHRA. We have no guidance on it. I have no idea what the impacts will be, no idea what the timeline will be. Just know that it's coming. We'll talk to you all about that, and we'll give people options based on the guidance as soon as we've got it. Those are the big things. I'm conscious that you have a big agenda today, so I won't spend a lot of time talking about some of the career development things, but I think in the strategic initiative, Enable Career Development, we are making some progress. I'm optimistic that perhaps at one of these, one of your upcoming meetings, we'll have time. I'm optimistic about some of the things that are in play, and then maybe at one of those meetings I can give you a little bit more of an update. And I want to be clear, I am the messenger on that, but I am not the key or the sole or even the key worker behind all the efforts going on to continue the work in enabling career development. Link is on some well-deserved holiday this week. He has promised me he will come back. I'm holding him to that, though last I saw the pictures were palm trees in the background, so I'm not sure. But maybe because he's with his entire family, it'll be enough reason to come back, fingers crossed. And then Jessica is also out this week, enjoying some well-deserved vacation, though she has provided a list of wellness and well-being activities that I think Katie, I think were included with the agenda, but will also be distributed. So I'm happy to take any questions you may have. Again, I want to congratulate all the award winners. I want to thank all of you on the forum for your service this past year. I want to wish you all a wonderful summer, and I look forward to working with you again in the year ahead.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Becky. We got the famous phrase from Becky today, tools in the toolbox. Sure you're tired of saying that by now. It's got to be next to your name in the dictionary is your phrase. Any questions for Becky?
One very quickly. Hey, Becky.
I was going to say, it's going to be a miracle if I get out of here with no questions. Come on.
No, this is a very easy one. I just want to back up. You're talking about the transition from SHRA to EHRA for the non-exempt people. And I know that you said we have no guidance. We just know that this is out there. Are we still looking at, is it just for like specific areas, or are they now looking at it for all SHRA? I missed something. I was confused.
Sorry, it's for exempt, not non-exempt.
Okay,
And it's SHRA exempt folks would be transitioning to EHRA roles. And as far as I know, it's for all exempt SHRA positions. But again, I don't know because I haven't seen it.
Okay.
So the way I got the 1,000 number is the number of people who have SHRA roles that are exempt. So I'm assuming that it could be, if it's not that, it's a smaller number.
And
okay,
that's
thank
fully
you.
passed.
To be honest with you, I heard it had support from both sides. If it passed, I didn't see the information. I had heard at one point in time they were going to wait until the budget bill passed to pass it, but it did make the crossover. If it passed, it's just because I can't keep track of everything going down there. And I'm going to not pay too much attention until I get guidance from the system office. So
They've got a lot of shenanigans going on.
yeah,
so-
don't quote me. I'm not sure if it passed. I just really have no idea.
And our thought is that it's going to be optional for those folks to choose.
Oh,
to-
absolutely. It will be optional. Absolutely. And I mean, it's largely gonna, for many people, it will depend on where they are in their careers. If you're, 25 years in teasers and there's not an advantage to transitioning, that makes perfect sense. If you're early in your career, it may make sense. It's entirely, as all of our transitions have been, it's entirely up to the employee in place. Where it will not be optional is when we repost the position. It will then become an EHRA role. So when people exit their existing roles. Yeah. At least, again, I haven't seen the language, but that's the way every other conversion has worked. So I'm assuming that
They could throw us a curveball, but
yes. I feel like that maybe instead of tools in a toolbox, the word next to my name ought to be a caveat, because there's always a caveat.
the dictionary of Becci Menghini, we need to put out a glossary of terms. Okay, excellent. And yes, as Becci mentioned, I will forward Jessica's wellness updates to all of you all after the meeting. She is also on some well-deserved vacation. I hope all of us can take some much-needed vacation over the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
Becci bingo. Oh, that's a great one. Arlene for the win. We should play an employee forum game where we have Becci bingo every week. Oh, goodness. Any other questions for Becci? Excellent. Well, thank you as always, Becci. The hot
Thank
seat wasn't
you.
too hot this month, so it's good. All right, folks, moving on to the next portion of our agenda. I'm going to do a little bit of creative moving of things just because that's my prerogative as chair. We're going to move the consent agenda to later, and we're going to start on the election first, because we're going to have some time in between when votes are being processed to do consent agenda things. So without further ado, we're going to move to new business, which is our election of employee forum officers. So as mentioned earlier, it's time to proceed with the elections, and I'm going to turn it over to Laura Pratt and Matt Teal, who are facilitating today's election. So Laura and Matt, take it away.
Thanks, Katie. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. We're excited to be working on the elections today. So since we are meeting via Zoom, today's election will be held digitally via Qualtrics. But before we get into the details of casting your vote via Qualtrics, we would like to offer each nominee a chance to make some brief remarks about their candidacy. So we will go one by one through each role that is open. Let's begin with the role of chair. So don't walk away, Katie. This is a one-year position. The only candidate running for chair this year is Katie Musgrove. Katie, you have up to 5 minutes to make any remarks you'd like about your candidacy.
Excellent. Well, I'm not going to make a really long speech here since I'm the only one running, other than to say my goal for this year is that this is actually going to be my final year running as employee forum chair. But before I leave this role, I wanted to implement some much needed bylaws revisions that will hopefully establish a chair-elect system for our body, which will ensure a smooth transition of leadership for the chair position moving forward. So this system will model itself off of the UNC system staff assembly, as well as our very own faculty council here at UNC, which just passed a similar chair-elect system this past year. I think this improvement to our process would be really helpful and give some time for the chair-elect to kind of shadow the current chair before moving into the position and being thrown into the deep end, so to speak. So more to come on the bylaws revisions that I hope to implement soon. But in the meantime, if anyone is curious about the chair-elect position or serving as chair at some point moving forward, and you wanted to shadow me this coming year, just please do let me know. Hopefully this person would run for a chair-elect position once it is created, and then succeed me as chair next year. But anyways, thank you all for your continued support. I hope to continue being your leader for the next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie. Okay, up next is the role of vice chair. This is also a one-year position. The only candidate running for vice chair is Keith Hines. Keith, you have up to 5 minutes to make any remarks you'd like about your candidacy.
I really don't have much to say. What I was going to say, I've been advised by my own legal counsel to not say it. Thank you, Tiffany. I won't say what I was going to say. No, I'm just glad to be here. Gonna jump in and help where I can, help Katie with this next year, because most likely when she's out, I'm out. Yeah, so we're just gonna get it done.
Terrific. Thanks, Keith. Alrighty, up next is the role of secretary. This is also a one-year position. The only candidate running for secretary is Tiffany Carver. Tiffany, you have up to 5 minutes to make any remarks you'd like about your candidacy.
Not much to say, but thank you guys for your confidence. No one else is running, so that means I must be doing a pretty good job. And I appreciate being able to support the forum and the chair and vice chair in their efforts as well. So again, just glad to be here, glad to be of service to the forum. So glad to have Matt, because he makes this secretary role much easier to do. So again, thank you all, and I appreciate your support.
Thanks, Tiffany. Okay, up next is the role of treasurer. This is a one-year position. There are 2 candidates on the ballot for this role. The first candidate running for treasurer is Bridget Ironside. Bridget, you have up to 5 minutes to make any remarks you'd like about your candidacy.
Okay, great. Sure. Since people probably don't know a lot about me, I have served as a financial analyst and accountant for Shared Financial Services. I track all of the budget and accounting functions for all of the campus safety units, as well as the Chancellor's office. I love my job. I think I'm really good at it. And I envision for this role, particularly, being able to track all the budget and all of the expenditures for the forum. That's how I see myself contributing in that role. And I think I'd be really good at it. That's it.
Sorry, unmute is elusive today. Thanks so much, Bridget. The next candidate running for treasurer is Tracy Weatherby Williams. Tracy, you have up to 5 minutes to make any remarks about your candidacy.
Hi, thanks. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say either, and many of you do know me. I have been the treasurer for the past 2 years, so this would be my 3rd term. I am also the treasurer of Scenic, so I have a lot of experience with budgets and doing that work. And I also have been a business officer previously in previous roles. So I do have experience with budgets and finance and all that good stuff. And I just appreciate supporting everybody here, especially our executive committee. Like Keith, I'm just here to jump in, and I do a lot of non-treasurer type things as well. Happy to do it. It takes a team to make everything work, and I like being part of the team. So thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. Okay, hang in there with me. Next is the role of parliamentarian. This is a 2-year position, making it different from the other officer roles. The only candidate running for parliamentarian is Jacob Womack. Jacob, you have up to 5 minutes to make any remarks you'd like about your candidacy.
Thank you. I am not going to take those full 5 minutes because that would be rude. First off, thank you for everybody who puts their time into this work. I know that it's volunteer. I know that it's on top of a massive amount of work that we're all having to do. So I just honestly want to take this time to thank you all for being here and for putting the work in.
Great. Thanks, Jacob. Okay, and finally is the role of staff assembly delegate. This position is a 2-year position. There are 3 individuals on the ballot this year for this role. The candidate who receives the second most votes will be appointed as staff assembly alternate, which is a 1-year position. Now that I've confused you, the first candidate running for a 2-year term as staff assembly delegate is James Holman. James, you have up to 5 minutes to make any remarks you'd like about your candidacy.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here today. I have been on the staff assembly probably for the last 5 years. I've been at the university for 18 years. I've been on this employee forum for almost 15 straight years. I am the chair of District 25 for Senate. I was instrumental in getting Senate to endorse the staff assembly golf tournament. And one reason that I continue to try to be on the staff assembly is because we don't have any facility service workers pretty much on the staff assembly. I think it's one person on the staff assembly that works for facilities. And so I feel as if our voices need to be heard. And that is my main reason, one of my main reasons for wanting to be on the staff assembly. And so I'm working hard for all state employees. So it's basically about all I got to say. So, all right.
Great. Thanks so much, James. I don't want to cut you off, but you good?
I'm good, darling. I'm good.
Okay, terrific. Thanks, James. Okay, the second candidate running for a 2-year term as staff assembly delegate is Lisa Peterson. Lisa, you have up to 5 minutes to make any remarks you'd like about your candidacy.
Good morning. My name is Lisa. This is my first year on the delegate forum. I am new to UNC. I relocated here from Wisconsin about 6-8 months ago with my family. I am a social worker by trade with 20 years of experience, so have a good working relationship with those that I work for and standing up for important issues and working with people. I am a operations coordinator and compliance manager over at CIDD, working with pediatric research studies, and would love the opportunity to go to the staff assembly and just represent UNC and everything that we believe in. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Lisa. The third candidate running for a 2-year term as staff assembly delegate is Drexel Rivers. Drexel, you have up to 5 minutes to make any remarks you'd like about your candidacy. Is Drexel here today? I don't think so. We'll give a moment. No. Okay, Drexel is not with us today. Okay, so in addition to hearing from all of these candidates, you also have the opportunity to hear from the fine folks who nominated these candidates. So if anyone who nominated any of these candidates would like to make any remarks about why you nominated this candidate, would you please raise your Zoom hand and we'll call on you one by one to make up to 5 minutes of remarks about your candidate. Okay. Hearing none and waiting a sufficiently awkward length of time, we will move forward. Matt Teal, turning it to you.
All right, thanks, Laura. So thank you to all the candidates for your willingness to serve in these leadership roles. Now that we've had the opportunity to hear from all candidates, we will describe how the election process will run. In a few moments, we will place a link in the chat that will take you to a Qualtrics ballot. Before we do that, it is important to note a few things about the voting process. Number one, you must be an employee forum delegate to vote in the officer election. All incoming, outgoing, and continuing delegates are eligible to vote. Number two, North Carolina law states each person voting must sign their ballot. You must include your first name and last name within this Qualtrics ballot. Who you voted for will not be shared. Number three, each delegate may vote only once. If you submit more than one ballot, then all ballots received under your name will be removed from the total vote count. And number four, the only required field within the Qualtrics ballot is your name. You can then choose to vote for any or all of the open officer positions. In just a moment, we will place the link to the Qualtrics ballot in the chat. You will have 5 minutes to complete and submit your ballot. At the end of 5 minutes, we will check in to see if anyone needs additional time to complete and submit their ballot. If you have trouble accessing the ballot during this time, please unmute yourself and let us know that you need assistance. Once the ballot closes, Laura and I will take a few minutes to tally up the votes. We will then return to the Zoom meeting to announce the newly elected officers. Are there any questions about the process? Please raise your Zoom hand. Also waiting an awkwardly long amount of time. Here we go. All right, hearing none, seeing none, we are now going to place the Qualtrics ballot link in the chat. The 5 minutes for voting begins now.
Okay. Laura and Matt, do I have permission to steal the reins back until voting ends?
Nope, not yet. You have to wait until the 5 minutes is over. Sorry.
Okay.
You'll have it soon. Don't you worry.
Bathroom break for everybody.
Matt, excuse me, are we supposed to have two candidates
Yeah.
for treasurer?
We are. You got to pull the ballot because it's not right.
Okay. Hold please. Hold please. What's happening with Qualtrics? Fixing now.
Pardon for not raising my hand.
That's okay. We'll allow it.
There's text.
Thank. All right, let me republish it. Okay. Keith, can you click that same link again and see if we've got two candidates in there?
They're there now.
Fabulous. Thank you all. Darn you, Qualtrics. Okay, restarting the 5-minute timer. Thanks for your patience. Just a quick time update. You have 2.5 minutes remaining. If you have not cast your ballot yet, please do so in the next 2.5 minutes.
Oh, maybe when my dog is lost in his mind, I don't expect to see him like a fool no more. I don't expect to see come back. So to the same life, just the lie that I say. The cross is in the ballpark. Why did I be out here? Die.
For a time update, there is 1 minute remaining. So if you have not yet cast your Qualtrics ballot, you have 1 minute to do so. Alrighty, 5 minutes have now concluded. Does anyone need 2 extra minutes to complete and submit their ballots? Hearing none, we will close the ballot. No further ballots will be accepted from here forward. Matt Teal and I will now jump off and tally up all of the votes, and we'll return to the Zoom meeting when we are ready to announce the newly elected officers. For now, we turn the meeting back over to Katie.
Woo, woo. Charles has a great suggestion in the chat. We will take that under consideration. Charles, our technology expert. So I put a comment in the chat during the voting, just announcing kind of our upcoming Vice Chancellor representatives meetings. We only mentioned the August one in the agenda, but there also is a rescheduled meeting coming up on June 29th from 9 to 10 a.m. That one was rescheduled from earlier in June on June 8th. So just be aware of that. If you would like to attend either of those, please reach out to Matt Banks. Let's see here. Next up on new business is our standing rules document approval. This will be the first reading of that document. This is something that requires 2 readings, so we'll take up the second reading at our July retreat. Jacob Womack, I'm going to let you kind of lead the show here and talk about our standing rules.
Hello, everyone again. The standing rules are available online. I do apologize, I'm a little hectic. I'm on a loaner laptop, so things are not where I'm used to them being on my computer. So to give you a moment. But if you do want to see our standing rules, they are available on the documents on the Employee Forum website under governance documents. There are also the bylaws there. I would suggest everyone becoming familiar with them. The standing rules are easily amended. However, just kind of the standard rule, we do need to vote to use them. That way we have a set of rules moving forward. Thank you. Appreciate that. Would you also, Katie, would you like me to actually read through this, or because I can do that now as well while we're tabulating votes?
So I think, yeah, the reading requires actually reading.
Yeah, you know, I just wasn't sure if you had more, because I'm going a little quick. Yeah, so employee forum standing rules, business procedure. Rule 1, at the opening of business of each body meeting, the recording secretary of the employee forum must, after having received the roll of attendance from the elected secretary of the employee forum, report to the presiding officer the number of delegates and alternatives registered as present with proper credentials, and will make a supplementary report after the opening exercises of each day the body is in session. Meaning, the recording secretary must at the beginning of each session of full body meetings take attendance and report either verbally or in writing the attendance roster to the presiding officer. Attendance must also be recorded as part of the meeting minutes. You're going to note that all of these are pretty much rule and then a less formal version of it. We're in an attempt to make things more legible and more equitable. Move my title faces over here so that I'm blocking the rules. Rule 2, notices for announcement to the body must be made in writing, signed by the person or a proper representative of the persons under whose authority the announcement is issued, and must be sent to the recording secretary. Meaning any and all announcements that a member wishes to make before the full body meetings must be submitted to the recording secretary in writing before the full body meeting is called into session. No surprises. Rule 3, A, all meetings of the full body must be audio-visually recorded and made available to the public through the internet. B, the body and or its committees may by a majority vote enter into closed session at any time, but only from an open session. C, motions to enter into closed sessions must clearly identify the permissible purpose for closed sessions from those authorized in North Carolina statute. D, closed session may not be used to shield the activities of the body from public scrutiny. E, records and minutes from the closed session must remain sealed until such a time as the body, having witnessed a motion and voted in the affirmative, decides to end embargo on such records and minutes. F, the body must return to open session to complete its business and adjourn. Meaning the employee forum must keep an accessible AV recording of all proceedings. The forum can at its sole discretion enter a closed session where these records do not have to be made public, but it cannot enter a closed session for the sole purpose of shrouding its activities from the public. To enter closed session, a motion from the floor must first be made, seconded, and voted on in the affirmative. All closed sessions must end by a return to open session. Rule 4. If the body is in a regular, special, or emergency meeting, it may recess that meeting to a time, date, and place of the presiding officer's choosing with consent from a majority of the members present. B, notice of a recessed meeting is provided by announcing the time, date, and place of the recessed meeting in open session at the original meeting. The announcement must also be posted in a conspicuous fashion so as to alert the public on the employee forum website with all due haste. Meaning the employee forum may recess to a later date, time, and alternative location from any meeting, but must announce the recess date, time, and location in open session, and make that announcement publicly available via its website in accordance with state law. Rule 5. The order or precedence for the preceding officer when the forum chair is absent or unable to preside over the business of the employee forum is as follows. 1, employee forum chair. 2, employee forum vice chair. 3, employee forum secretary. 4, employee forum treasurer. 5, secretary of the rules committee. 6, chair of the communications and public relations committee. 7, chair of the community service committee. 8, chair of diversity, equity, inclusion committee. 9, chair of the education and career development committee. 10, chair of the personnel issues committee. And 11, chair of the recognition and awards committee. Meaning if the chair of the forum is absent or unable to preside over the meeting of the body, the order of succession above is followed. The parliamentarian may not conduct the meeting and is excluded from the order of succession. If there are no elected officers present and no committee chairs present for meetings, the meeting shall not proceed. Rule 6, debate and deliberation of the body must be conducted in person, either physically or over digital telecommunication conference, Zoom or Teams, and cannot be conducted via email. Meaning email may not be used as a means of conducting debate for any resolution or business of the body normally held during the meeting. Rule 7, votes on motions may not be conducted virtually, except in such an instance as the meeting uses digital telecommunications conferences such as Zoom or Teams. I got all the way to 7 before truly eating my own tongue. B, digital technologies may be used to record such a vote via platforms such as Qualtrics during a meeting of the body and not inconsistent with open meeting statutes. C, votes on motions may only be conducted during a meeting. Meaning votes must be held during meetings. They cannot be held purely over the internet or phone calls. Digital technologies such as polls or surveys may be used to record those votes. On to committees. Rule 8, committees of the employee forum shall at their sole discretion in the absence of an appointment by the forum chair elect the committee chair, and if they so choose, a committee secretary from their membership on their first meeting as a committee. The name or names of the committee chairs and committee secretary must be reported to the recording secretary upon the close of the committee's first meeting. Meaning the forum chair has first right to appoint the chair and or secretary of the committee. Failing this appointment, all committees have the right to elect their chair and secretary. These possessions must be reported to the forum's recording secretary immediately after election. This will all take place in July for those who are new. Rule 9, committee should be free to self-organize in whichever manner is most effective and efficient for the committee by a majority vote of committee's members. Meaning committees are free to organize themselves however is most desirable for each individual committee. Debate. Rule 10, no member shall speak in debate more than once on the same question at the same day for longer than 5 minutes without the permission of the body granted by 2/3 vote without debate. B, members must be recognized by the presiding officer in order to assume the floor and speak during debate. C, the presiding officer may recognize any member more than once during debate, provided the member's time has not expired. D, the presiding officer must recognize members in the order in which they have petitioned to speak during debate, which must be recorded by the secretary or presiding secretary. E, the recording secretary will keep the time. Meaning members of the employee forum are entitled to speak on any issue that is before the body. Speaking time for any single issue is limited to 5 minutes per person unless otherwise specified by the presiding officer conducting the debate and approved by a 2/3 vote of the members present. All members have an equal amount of time to speak, but they do not have to use all their time, nor do they have to use all their time at once. Each member who wishes to speak during debate must petition the presiding officer and be recognized from the floor to speak. The presiding officer must recognize members from the floor in the order in which their petitions for recognitions are made. They may not attempt to stack the deck of arguments by recognizing one side or the other more often or more frequently than the other. It is the responsibility of the recording secretary to keep track of time, and they may do so by whichever means is most convenient to them. Resolutions and main motion. Rule 11A, main motions, specifically resolutions and proclamations, referred to the body must proceed through 2 full readings before a vote may be called by the chair, with open debate following each reading. B, the body may suspend Rule 11 only by a 2/3 vote. Meaning any main motion, such as a resolution or proclamation that is sent to the body for consideration, debate, or vote must first be read either from the floor or by unanimous consent 2 times before it can be adopted by the body. This rule can be suspended by the body, but only by a 2/3 vote of the members present. Rule 12, a resolution offered by an individual member must be made in writing, signed by the maker and the seconder, each of whom must be a voting member of the employee forum and must be sent directly to the desk of the recording secretary and the parliamentarian. Meaning any resolution, that is, a main motion, must be made first in writing and signed by the members presenting it and the members seconding it on the record. The resolution must be presented to the recording secretary in advance of its first reading. 13, all resolutions except for those proposed by the executive committee or by other committees. And it's hard for an AI to eat its tongue. Or by other committees, and all recommendations may be made in reports of officers or committees that are not in the form of resolutions, must be referred without debate to the parliamentarian prior to the introduction to the body. Resolutions proposed by the executive committee or other committees shall be presented directly to the body. Each member who offers a resolution must be given an opportunity to explain it to the parliamentarian if they so request. The parliamentarian must prepare suitable resolutions to carry into effect recommendations referred to them and shall submit to the body with the parliamentarian's own recommendations and rulings as to appropriate action. These and all other resolutions refer to the parliamentarian. Questions may be referred to the executive committee, which by a 2/3 vote of its member may decide not to report to the body. The body may by a majority vote suspend this Rule 13 and may immediately consider a question or may order the parliamentarian to report a question at a certain time, even if the executive committee has voted not to report it. This one's a little tricky, so I'm going to take my time with this meeting. All resolutions made by any individual member, which does not include any resolution written in committee and presented to the body by the chair of said committee on behalf of the committee, must be referred to the parliamentarian before the resolution is presented to the body or the recording secretary for inclusion in the agenda. The parliamentarian is to thoroughly review the resolution to ensure that it is in order and properly written and formatted for presentation to the body. The committee making the motion may, if they so desire, have an opportunity to discuss with and explain the motion to the parliamentarian before their ruling is made. The parliamentarian must prepare any resolution, motion, rule, or suggestion recommendation referred to them for review by the body, along with their own notes and recommendations for how to proceed with the resolution, motion, rule, or other suggestion or recommendation. The parliamentarian may, at their sole discretion, elect to refer any resolution or motion brought to them to the executive committee, which can direct the parliamentarian not to report the resolution or motion to the full body, but only by a 2/3 vote of the executive committee members. The body may compel the parliamentarian to report any withheld resolutions, motions, questions, etc. to the body by a majority vote. Records and minutes. Rule 14. All reports and other materials from the permanent record or printed proceedings must be made in typed English and immediately upon presentation must be sent to the recording secretary via either digital or hard copy. Meaning all records, minutes, or official documents of the forum must be made, kept, and preserved in typed common English. These records must be sent to the recording secretary for collection and collation. Rationale. Common English is the most commonly spoken and most widely accessible language available in common use in the United States of America. This rule does not preclude duplicate records of another language being made. It simply stipulates that one copy must be made in English. Rules in effect. Rule 15. The rules contained in the current edition of Robert Rules of Order newly revised shall govern the body, meetings, conventions, and functions in all cases to which they are applicable, in which they are not inconsistent with the bylaws of the employee forum and these standing rules. Meaning, for all purposes, any rules that are specified in the Robert's Rules of Order newly revised also apply alongside the rules stipulated here, but only in cases where they do not conflict with the rules stipulated here. Rule 16. These rules, upon their adoption by majority vote, shall stand in force and effective to the close of the session 1 calendar year from the date of their adoption. Meaning, rules stipulated here are in effect for 1 calendar year from the date of their adoption by the majority vote of the body. They must be adopted annually. At this point, I did kind of go, and it is a little pro forma, but at the same time, if anyone is particularly new delegates, old delegates, outgoing delegates, I don't care. If you have further questions about that, please reach out. You can do this here. If you're not comfortable doing it in a public format, please reach out to me individually. I think all my stuff is updated in Outlook, even after changing jobs. Although I did recently realize that my email on some listservs did not. I'm going to put my address in the chat. If you'd like to reach out to me.
Okay, so with all of that said, is there any discussion on the first reading of the standing rules? Again, I put in the chat, this is kind of pro forma as discussed in the standing rules. We have to do this every year. The second reading will occur in July. If you have questions or thoughts or suggested changes in the interim, you can always reach out to Jacob, and he put his email in the chat. Any discussion? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to vote on the first reading of the standing rules?
This is Arlene. I vote we approve the rules. So, yeah.
Do I have a second?
This is Elizabeth. I have second.
All right, all in favor of approving the first reading of the standing rules and bringing them back for second reading at the July meeting?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining?
This is Laura Pratt. I'm abstaining since I was not part of the conversation. Sure, it's great though.
Thanks, Laura. All right, the motion carries. Okay. Thank you so much, Jacob. As always, we will turn back to that at the July retreat. Laura and Matt, I believe you are both ready to take back the reins. And without further ado, go ahead.
Yes, we're going to temporarily take back the reins. So thank you to everyone who voted. There are a couple of reminders we want to throw out there, just things that we saw as votes were coming in. As a reminder, Matt was pretty clear in his instructions that you can only vote one time. So anyone who submitted more than one ballot, all duplicate ballots were deleted. Additionally, you are required to put your first and last name in that first text box. If you submitted just one name, your ballot was also deleted. I'm so sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but that's how it works. Just gentle reminders. Thank you to everyone who did follow the instructions. Okay. Without further ado, we are pleased to share the results of this year's Employee Forum Officer elections. The individual who will serve as chair will be Katie Musgrove.
Yay, the individual who will serve as vice chair will be Keith Hines.
Yay!
Yay!
The individual who will serve as secretary will be Tiffany Carver. Yay!
The individual who will serve as treasurer will be Tracy Weatherby Williams.
Yay!
Yay!
The individual who will serve as parliamentarian will be Jacob Womack.
The individual who will serve as the 2-year staff assembly delegate will be James Holman.
Hooray!
Hooray.
And finally, the individual who received the second most votes for the 2-year Staff Assembly delegate position, who will thereby serve as Staff Assembly alternate for a 1-year term, is Lisa Peterson. Yay!
Please join us in giving these individuals a round of applause. Thank you for your willingness to lead the employee forum in the coming year. And thank you to all the delegates who cast their vote in this process. We now return the meeting to the chair.
Y'all are killing me with your hoorays, Laura and Matt. That was fantastic. Oh, thank you both so much for your help in leading the officer elections process. You guys are so great. Thank you. All right. Without further ado, we're going to turn to the last item on our agenda, which is actually earlier in our agenda, the consent agenda. For new folks, just a reminder from orientation where we talked about this, the consent agenda is something that we take a vote on as a whole. We usually have our minutes and our committee reports housed within the consent agenda, although committee chairs are free to be able to pull committee reports out of the consent agenda to be able to talk about them outside of that vote process. Sometimes I unilaterally pull all of the committees out to be able to talk about them if we have time. We don't have a lot of time left in the meeting, so I'm not going to do that this time around. So I'm going to just open up the floor here to see if there's anyone who wants to remove their committee from the consent agenda to be able to talk about it before we adjourn today. The only thing I'll say here, we sent a couple of the annual reports from committees around with the agenda for this meeting. Be sure to read through those. For committee chairs who have not yet submitted your annual report, please try to do that before the executive committee meeting so we can take all of those reports and pull those together into an annual report for the employee forum as a whole, which we'll start working on at the executive committee meeting, and we will finalize at the July retreat next month. Any folks want to talk about their committees? No? Okay, hearing none. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda passes. Before we adjourn, again, I just remind y'all that I put in the chat the 2 dates for the upcoming Vice Chancellor representatives meetings. If you would like to attend the June rescheduled meeting, please reach out to Matt Banks. Attendance and questions for the August meeting will be collected in July. All right, before we adjourn, we've got a few minutes. I want to just open up the floor for any updates, discussion, conversation. How are y'all doing as we close out this academic year? And as I said earlier in this meeting, I hope each and every one of you is going to take some time for yourself over the summer to take a much needed break, vacation, and recharge and rest up, because it's been a long year. Okay. Great question in the chat from Sarah. Do we have a date for the July retreat? Yes, it will. The consensus from the poll we did via Qualtrics was that we would have a half a day in person and then a second half a day remote for the business portion of our meeting. So that's going to be the format of it. Tentatively, the dates of that, I believe, are July 12th and 13th, which is a Wednesday and a Thursday. Matt Banks, correct me if I'm wrong. We will send out the details of all of this, hopefully sometime after executive committee next week, once we have a chance to finalize a few of the details, but that's what it's looking like at the moment.
And if it's looking like, Katie, maybe if they aren't available during that time, if folks want to let us know interest that you have in serving on different committees, between now and the retreat, let us know if you know you can't come to the retreat.
That's very, very true. We will be sending around a Qualtrics poll to gauge whether or not you're coming to the retreat, so that we can plan for catering and plan for attendance and all that fun stuff. So maybe at that point you can indicate, if you're not coming, what your plans are for committee service this coming year. And if you have questions about that and want to reach out to Tiffany, myself, or Matt Banks, we can definitely help you with that. Elizabeth, yes, tentatively that we're going to do the mornings first, especially the in-person portion of things. The second day remote, I'm pretty sure it'll be in the morning, not 100% positive. That's all things we have to finalize at the executive committee next week. Other thoughts, questions? Yeah, Matt saying last Thursday we did it in the afternoon. I just have to look at my schedule and consult with the executive committee on whether morning or afternoon will work best this year. Hearing no other discussion, do I hear a motion to adjourn 15 minutes early at our busiest meeting of the year? Like, what is happening?
I move. This is Arlene. I second.
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor? Woo!
Efficiency in action.
Pimps up.
Peace out.
All right, folks. Well, thank you all. Happy June. Looking forward to seeing you all in July at the retreat. Again, as a reminder, there will not be a full body meeting in July technically, because this retreat serves as that for us. But yeah, looking forward to it. Excited about working with our new delegation to plan for our coming year. Yay, get excited. And again, if you're interested in doing the craziness that I do, please reach out to me because I'd love to talk to you. Don't be scared. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Thanks, Matt. As always, let me know if you need anything.
Glad to help. Good work. It's all wrapped up, so it's a good thing.
Always a good thing. All right, bye, folks.
Folks, I'm gonna hold the meeting open for another minute or so, and then I'm gonna close it down. So if you're still listening, please be prepared for the meeting to close down very soon. Okay, closing down. Hope all have a good day. Take care.